The Minnesota Vikings played Grinch for Lions fans on Christmas as they stole Detroit's chances to make the playoffs this year in a 23-10 win where the Vikings defense dominated the game. The Lions, who came into this game with a league-low 8 turnovers through their first 15 games of the season, turned it over 6 times against Brian Flores' Vikings defense. On top of the turnovers, they sacked Goff 5 times, and in this film breakdown, we're going to look at exactly how the Vikings defense smothered one of the most dynamic offenses in the NFL. First play that we're going to look at here, it is 2nd and 6. This is from the Lions' first drive of the game, and Minnesota is able to pick up a sack here on an all-out blitz. You're going to see Harrison Smith at the bottom of your screen here come on a blitz off of the edge, gets the sack to Jared Goff, and why this works, right, if we walk through this entire play. So you're going to see the Lions break the huddle. They get to the line really quickly and want to kind of do a hard count. So you see Jared Goff do the leg lift. Everyone walks up on the line for Minnesota. So again, your antennas have to be up. If you're Goff, you've got to anticipate there is a likelihood that this could be a cover 0 all-out blitz. You're going to see then, after they realize that it was a hard count, Harrison Smith is going to point back to the safety, kind of tell him to drop out a bit here into coverage, which he does. So he kind of backs off the line a bit. Again, so Goff now trying to figure out, shifts the protection over, but again, anticipating that, a lot of guys here are probably going to come. So there's a high likelihood that you're going to be hot on this throw. They only have, 7 guys here who can protect, potentially whiff, the 5 offensive linemen, and then you've got the tight end here and Jahmyr Gibbs in the backfield. Now, where he's trying to initially get this ball to go is to the top of your screen. They're running a bench concept, so you're going to get, kind of this corner route here from, I believe this is J-Mo on the outside, and then I think where he wants to go with the ball is to this out route here by Amon-Ra underneath. The issue with this is the way that Minnesota is playing this is all of these guys who, again, are essentially in cover 0, so they all have a man that they're accounting for here. They are almost playing it like zone in a sense where they're just reading Goff's eyes, and as I run this, you'll see, on the snap of the ball, none of them instantly react to their man. Look at where their eyes are facing here on this pass play. So they're playing the sticks. Again, this is 2nd and 6. So, the ball doesn't need to get much further than here to get to the first down line. And you're going to see this corner does a great job here in the slot of reading Goff's eyes, sees him turn to his side of the field. He's immediately driving down on this route, sees Amon-Ra breaking on it. That kind of forces Jared not to love what he sees, kind of pumps off of it, tries to get backside to where I think he should have gone first, which is this hot read here from the tight end. Instead, it's too late, and Harrison Smith picks up the sack here on this one. And if we cut over to the end zone copy, really quickly to walk through the protection and, again, why this all happened. So you have Harrison Smith, again, bump that guy back. And if we look at this from just a numbers perspective, you've got, in theory, total blockers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for on the defensive side of the ball. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if you match protect, you do have a hat for everybody. If not, which is what happens, you do have this tight end here running a route. If everyone comes on the line of scrimmage, Jared Goff needs to know he's hot. So he resets the protection here with the center and has them slide to the left. So you're going to have 1, 2, 3 here. 1, Sewell matched up one-on-one with the defensive end, and you're going to have Jahmyr Gibbs here in the backfield reading this 1 to 2 on a, that's a really ugly 2, but reading it 1 to 2 from a backer perspective. And if, again, Harrison Smith is coming off of this edge, and he also comes, Jared Goff has to know he's going to be hot immediately. They don't have the numbers to do it, which is what happens. And Jahmyr Gibbs slides across to pick up the inside backer, which is the correct decision because his path to get to the quarterback is quicker than Harrison Smith would have to run all the way outside. So he makes the right choice. All Goff needs to do is know that and be looking pre-snap to this tight end who actually does a great job, as you can see here, of trying to get his head around really quickly to be the hot read for that throw. Instead is looking for that Amon-Ra out route, and as we showed from the other camera angle, that was being sat on, nothing there for him. Pumps it down, quick sack there from Harrison Smith, ends up knocking them behind the sticks and forces a punt on the Lions' first drive of the game. Later on in the first quarter, it is still 0-0. The Lions are in 3rd and 1 on their side of the field. Miscommunication between Goff and the center here, and I think you can kind of tell just by how quickly this ball is snapped and the fact that the center is really the only one that moves right away, that he snapped the ball at the wrong time. Goff wasn't ready for it. Ball goes on the ground, forces the first again of 6 turnovers on the day for the Lions defense. So pretty much an unforced error there from Detroit. Again, really unlike them as a team who had come into this game with the least amount of turnovers in the NFL at that point in time. Unforced error picked up by Van Ginkel, first of 6 for the Vikings on the day. Now into the second quarter, Minnesota is up 7-0. You're going to see that this is 2nd and 6 from right around midfield here. Jared Goff kills this to a run play. They are checking to power, sends Amon-Ra in motion to draw up the blocking really quickly, right? So you're going to get down block here from the center. Double team here by guard and tackle on this defensive tackle. They're going up to 51. You're going to have a one-on-one block here on the outside with the tackle, and this guard is going to be pulling around backside for the linebacker, number 55. Again, the goal is to try to hit this in that play side B gap, and this is really, I would say, done really well defensively for the Vikings from 2 key positions here. So you have, again, this nose tackle does a good job of not getting washed down the line of scrimmage and instead really forces the issue and kind of gets some pressure up the field into the backfield. And this linebacker here, number 55, does a great job on contact of filling into the gap, not being scared of it, and not allowing himself to get dug out. Really, again, holds this firm here. So there's not a ton here for Gibbs to get into. So kind of realizes this, tries to press into the gap, and sometimes you just have to take your medicine. Unfortunately, the ball is ripped out, pops out, and another turnover for Minnesota. So really a stout run defense there, doing the best to kind of not be washed out of their gaps and kind of collapse everything there on that play side gap. And then, really being, hungry for the ball, looking to ball hawk, rip at it, punch at it, and get their second turnover of the game here. The Lions defense does hold to a stop. So once again, 7-0 here in the second quarter for the Lions. You're going to get a fire zone here this time from Minnesota. So again, you see 6 guys here on the line of scrimmage, technically, if you kind of count the way that this corner is potentially walked up with the tight split. But they're running, a version of cover 2, again, with this middle field open look with these split safeties. You're going to get 5 guys out here into coverage. What ends up happening here for the Lions is you get, again, that blitz. So you end up with 6 guys coming here on the blitz from the Minnesota Vikings. This edge rusher gets really immediate pressure, which is why I think this is David Montgomery kind of aborts this play action fake and instead tries to loop around to help with this pressure. But because of that, again, Jared Goff having to understand where he would be hot from in this particular instance, this tight end is only chipping Andrew Van Ginkel and then getting out on a route, which means he's going to eventually become a free runner to the quarterback. So you see the fake is aborted there by Montgomery, who's coming around to help the left tackle. Van Ginkel now has a free line to Jared Goff after the chip and release. With that being said, I would like to probably see the ball get, thrown out here. Again, it's not going to go for a ton of gain because number 2 is sitting in this flat here. But that, I think, is a better option than trying to get off of this. You see he's going to go through a full field progression here. If he doesn't like this at first, now the corner is dropping back on this route. This is, potentially covered. You have a window there that the backer can get into. Same thing from the opposite side of the field. This flat route is pretty well defended, as well as this route coming over across the middle from Amon-Ra also has a safety over top of it, a linebacker who could potentially get in that throwing window as well. Nothing there for Goff to get to. Tries to slide around. Van Ginkel, again, just being a free runner. It's a little bit too easy once you get to that point. Another great play here from Harrison Smith later in the second quarter. The Vikings are going to be in a similar type of coverage where you're looking at, a fire zone type of blitz where they're going to be blitzing out of a cover 2 shell. Harrison Smith, who's going to be near the top of your screen here, he's going to be playing this kind of flat zone, and he just does a great job of reading out the play action fake. This ends up wanting to be a throwback a screen here for Amon-Ra St. Brown. You can see he's got eyes on Jared Goff the whole way, sees these linemen starting to get out to try to block for this screen, and just pulls the chain on it immediately once the ball gets out, is able to beat 73 to that spot. Again, they're kind of racing here to just get body on him for Amon-Ra to maybe have a crease potentially to take this up the sideline. Instead, beats the lineman to the spot, picks up a big-time TFL here. Harrison Smith, veteran in the game, still doing it at a very, very high level, trusting his eyes and instincts. This Vikings front, again, with this heavy pressure look, gets home and forces Goff into his first of 2 picks on the day. And I really don't like this play call from Detroit. There is no hot option for him. And I'll go to the end zone copy really quickly, but they have 7 guys here blocking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Lions as pass protectors. There's 8 guys here walked up on the line of scrimmage, so you've got to anticipate there's a likelihood of a free runner. Instead, they are going with a deep shot play call here, and essentially 3 vertical routes, and Jared Goff has to get rid of the ball because of the pressure look, and there is nothing here that is open from the Lions. Forces it deep. The safety makes a great play because the ball isn't thrown great, as Goff has the pressure bearing down on him, forces him into his first interception of the day. And if we look at this again really quickly from the end zone copy, and from a pass protection standpoint, what you're looking at here is they're going to put Jahmyr Gibbs on a dual read, so he's going to have Harrison Smith or I believe 51 over here are the 2 backer types that he's going to read to potentially block. The other one is going to be the free runner in this instance. Outside of that, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 from a blocking perspective. So sliding the line to the right and having Jahmyr Gibbs on that dual read, which is what he does. You're going to see Gibbs comes down across his face, goes to block 26, who comes on the blitz. 51 ends up dropping out, but in an attempt to, again, close the door here, someone ends up being the free runner just with the way that the line was slid. Van Ginkel ends up being that guy who ends up spilling free. Goff has to get rid of it way sooner than he would like to. There's no good hot option here on this play, which is where I think all of this really goes wrong. Forces a deep shot up to Tesla. It ends up getting picked off by Byron Murphy. Makes a great play on the ball. Ends up turning the ball over for the Minnesota Vikings. Their first of 2 interceptions on the day. Unfortunately, the very next play where the Lions get the ball back, Harrison Smith continuing to have his fingerprints all over this one, picks the ball off, jumps this route here by Jared Goff. So you're getting a dig route here from Amon-Ra off of this heavy play action. So he's looking to get up and get into this gap here in the protection. Harrison Smith, again, really, really phenomenal play from his instincts and trusting his eyes on this one. Gets into his depth here in the deep half, sees Goff separate here, so he's anticipating this throw breaking over across the middle in this gap in the 2-high shell. Harrison Smith puts his foot in the ground, beats Amon-Ra to the spot, and is able to jump this route, which, again, you could argue also maybe gets a little bit away from Goff. You maybe want him to try to place this a little bit lower. Instead, it kind of floats a little bit further up the field where Harrison Smith can get his paws on it. Nonetheless, great read and instinctual anticipation from the veteran safety in this one. Picks up the second interception on back-to-back plays from Jared Goff. Last play I'm going to walk through here, and there's not much analysis to get to other than this just epitomizes the level of stress that this game had on the Lions, understanding that it's a win-or-go-home situation against a defense that is extremely exotic, one of the hardest to game plan and play against because of how heavy pressure looks they play and having to constantly guess and adjust protections to try to stay blocked up against this Flores defense. Ball is just snapped too high for Jared Goff, or not high, a little bit off to the right there. He isn't able to corral it. Down by 10 with 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They had to come away with points on this drive. Goff can't pick it up. It goes into Van Ginkel's arms. And that is the play that ends the Detroit Lions' chances at the playoffs. So you have got to tip your cap to Brian Flores, to the guys on this front 7, and notably to a guy like Harrison Smith, who, as one of the older defensive players in the leagues, in the league, played his tail off in a game that didn't necessarily have any playoff implications for Minnesota as they've already been eliminated, but was critical in knocking a division rival out of the postseason, and that's going to be very, very sweet for Flores, for KOC, and this entire Vikings team. But that is going to do it for this film breakdown. As always, if you appreciated the content, if you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing to the channel. Drop a like, leave a comment, let me know what you thought about this Vikings performance in this game and how crazy their defense has played under Brian Flores this season. As always, I appreciate you, and I'm out.